Hey guys, what is going on? It is RC Knockout and I am back with another video. Now, if you guys are new to the channel, my name is Nolan. In today's video, I have got my Traxxas Maxx out with me. Now, I just recently unboxed this RC and I've only tested out like I think 2 times since then. So I did a speed test on the road, and then after that I did a bashing session where I took it with me to a local park and I bashed it around a little bit on 3S and then on 4S. And if you watched that most recent video where I did that first test on it, you'll probably know that I was a little bit disappointed. I wouldn't necessarily say disappointed, but it was underwhelming to say the least. And the reason it was underwhelming was just because the thing had a tendency to flip. It was really easy to flip this thing just because the stance is not wide enough to keep this thing from rolling. So it was rolling on like the easiest, almost borderline gentle turn. So I was turning it gently and I'm like, holy crap, it flipped over itself. So it was getting frustrating, I'm not gonna lie. Now, if you're wondering what the upgrade is, this is the upgrade right here. I am going to be installing this. This right here is the Traxxas Maxx WideMaxx Kit. Now, it is a Traxxas upgrade part, so it's made by Traxxas. And my guess is that Traxxas realized after they built this that it was not wide enough, which is why they gave you guys the option, or gave us the option, to purchase a WIDE-MAXX kit. Because the Traxxas X-Maxx, which is a bigger brother of this, does not have a WideMaxx kit option. So there's no option for a WideMaxx kit for the X-Maxx, which tells you it's already wide enough. I've never had issues with flipping, at least not to this extent, with my X-Maxx. This is supposed to be a miniature version of the X-Maxx, and obviously the dimensions must be slightly off because it's much more prone to flipping than the X-Maxx. And it all comes down to it's not wide enough. The stance is obviously not wide enough, so that's why they put out the WideMaxx kit, which in hindsight, they probably should have just put this kit on to begin with. It should have come with these arms, but at least they made it an option. Now, the only bad thing is, I bought this before I actually got the Maxx. So I purchased the Maxx online. It was on back order to get this color, and I ordered the WideMaxx kit because I already knew I was going to do it at some point. So I ordered it. This actually came in the mail before the car did. The only thing is I didn't realize until I was pointed out by one of my viewers. One of my viewers said, make sure to get the WideMaxx kit that comes with the new drive shafts, the longer extended drive shafts. Unfortunately, I had already bought this and it's past the point where I could return it, and this is the version 1, I guess, where it does not include the extended drive shafts. So unfortunately, I guess that's going to make it more prone to break the stock drive shafts because it extends them out, telescopes them out quite a bit more. So I can't really do much about that at this point. I did just decide to go with the black color. I was thinking about going with some different colored arms, but I already thought this was kind of out here for a color for me anyway, the color of the body with the solar flare. So I thought this has enough color to it. I'm not going to add any more color, so I just went with the black. You can see the different colors that are available. There's blue, orange, red, green, white, and black. The only colors I'd probably consider are orange, blue, or red. I wouldn't put green or white on this, but those are the only colors I'd consider aside from the black. But I just went with the black, which the part number is 8995. So what I'm going to do, guys, we're going to install this today, and then we're going to test it out and see if I like it any better, because I was disappointed by how it performed. But yeah, this is the upgrade, guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the camera a little bit closer, and we're going to jump right in this installation. Alrighty, guys, so I got the camera repositioned. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and pop the body shell off. Set that aside. And now that we have the body off, the next thing we're going to do, we're just going to go ahead and open up the WideMaxx kit. And like I was saying earlier, one of my viewers pointed out in that unboxing video of this machine that if I do get the WideMaxx kit, make sure to get the ones with the new extended drive shafts. Unfortunately, this one right here does not have the extended drive shafts. This one right here must be a version 1, which does not include the extended drive shafts. This was also $49.99, I believe, guys. So let's go ahead and get it ripped open, and we're going to start installing this thing. First, let's see what it comes with. All right. There we go. Looks like some directions, maybe. Yep, got some directions. So we got suspension arms. These are all the lowers. Here's the uppers. We got new shock springs. Wait a second. No, this comes with new drive shafts. Right here. Those are drive shafts right there. But it says on the back of this, it says compatible with the stock drive shafts. So when it said that, I just assumed that it meant continue using the stock drive shafts. So maybe I'm wrong. These must be the ones that actually come with the extended drive shafts. Wow. that's a relief. So I take back everything I said earlier that I bought the wrong one, so I guess I bought the correct one. Now, from my understanding, what we need to do is we obviously need to take the wheels off, which we got the wrench that came with the kit when I bought the Maxx. We're gonna take the wheels off. We gotta slide all the hinge pins out. I know we need to swap the rear springs, so the rear shock springs to the front, and then these new ones right here will go on the rear. So let's go ahead and let's get started disassembling this thing. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and get this wheel wrench out and remove the wheel nuts. Got one wheel. Oop. I was wondering what this piece is for, but I'm assuming it's just like a nylon or plastic lock washer type thing that goes on the inside of the wheel. Let me know, guys, if you know. I actually don't know what this is for. I can only assume it's, unless it's just to add some color, I don't know. But let's get all the other ones off real quick. The other thing I should probably show you guys real quick is the direction. This is like, I guess this is a suggestion of stuff, a recommendation of stuff that you can replace in order to get optimal suspension performance. So it basically says you can remove the 2 front shocks and the 2 rear shocks, and then remove the shock springs from all 4 corners, and then install the rear shock springs on the front, which I already knew that. But then also it says right here, for optimal performance, replace the 30 weight silicone shock fluid with basically with 50 weight, and make sure it's 100% pure silicone. And then also it says the rear shocks use 1.2 millimeter shock pistons, but I don't think we need to mess with any of that. We're not going to dive that deep into it. We just want this thing to be wider. And here are the other directions. This must be the actual direction. So extended outer half shaft installation. So it looks like there are some little clips. Luckily I brought needle nose pliers because this is another upgrade video I'm doing outside, guys. Luckily it's not too windy today, so hopefully you guys will be able to hear me pretty well, because I've had mixed results with doing these upgrade videos outside. You know, there's a lot of factors I can't control, like wind, noise, with people, mowing, all types of stuff can happen. So fortunately, as of right now, it's quiet, and hopefully you guys can hear me all right. But there's gonna be some C-clips, it looks like, that we're gonna have to remove in order to replace those outer shafts. And it doesn't really show anything else. Everything else, the direction, there's no directions for actually replacing the arms. I think it's pretty straightforward. I think these are all going to be 2 and 2.5 millimeter screws. I can see right here it says this shock or this suspension arm can be used either for the left front or the rear right. So left front, which would be this side, or we could use it for the rear right. So, and then the same thing's going to be true. And then I'm assuming the same thing's true for the top ones, or maybe the top ones are exactly the same all the way across. Now I don't see any labeling on these upper suspension arms. But let's go ahead. First thing we're going to want to do is just get the hinge pin out, and that's going to be a 2.5 mil, and we'll just go ahead and unscrew that. And there we go, and that's just a kind of a screw type pin. Set that aside, don't want to lose anything. We'll go ahead, we'll remove the 2 millimeter that's holding the steering arm on, or the steering link. That's a 2 millimeter. So I got my 2 mil. We're gonna undo that real quick. Got the 2 mil out, set that aside, and then the steering link's already free. Now what we have to do is the bottom one, which the bottom one is held on by a 2.5 mil. So we're gonna grab our 2.5 mil once again. Gosh. Actually, I have a 2.5, why am I using this? I don't know why I'm using that. I have a 2.5 mil right here. There we go, and we got that one out. And it looks like the bottom one is longer than the upper one. And then that's out, and there's that outer shaft. So what we have to replace is that outer shaft. But the next thing I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna go ahead and unscrew the 2 mil right here that's holding on the bottom of the shock. Also guys, if you're liking this kind of content, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. I would greatly appreciate it. Every single time you guys are hitting that thumbs up button, it really means a lot. Got the 2 mil right there. Really motivates me to put out better and better content for you guys as well. Let's see, I might have to, no, I guess I don't have to take the front. Looks like I'm gonna have to take the front skid plate off anyway to access these bottom hinge pins. But for this top one, I don't think I need to. I can access it from right here, and that's gonna be a 2.5 mil holding that upper suspension arm on. And then the upper one should be free once I get this out. Come on, there we go. All right, we got the upper one off. And here's gonna be the difference in the length. That's a pretty significant difference. These are probably 3/4 of an inch longer, these new ones. And let's see, this came off like this, so one like this should work. We'll put that in the exact same spot. You know what, actually the other thing I should probably do right now is I should probably go ahead and unscrew this steering link right here. And then here's the bag I'm gonna open up real quick that has got the new steering links in it, which are obviously slightly longer than the existing ones. And then it also has the half shafts, which are slightly longer than the existing ones. I'm really relieved that I actually got the one that's correct. It did not say that on the box. It says what it contains in the box. It said it had new springs with it. It did not say it came with new outer shafts. It said you can use these with the stock drive shafts. So that's why I assumed this kit that I got was the version 1. So I'm thankful that that's not the case, that it actually does come with the new outer shafts, so I don't have to worry about that. And here's the springs right here, guys. We're gonna be moving the rear springs to the front, and these springs are gonna be going on the rear. But one thing at a time. So it looks like this is screwed in from underneath. That's a 2 millimeter that holds the steering link. And let's see, so we'll go ahead and get the 2 mil. I do apologize, the breeze is picking up a little bit, so I'm hoping that doesn't affect the sound too much. But I'll unscrew that 2 mil, and that comes off like such. And then we're just gonna go ahead and swap out this link for this one. And we'll grab the 2 mil, put it in from underneath, and start screwing it down. All right, and that's pretty simple for the link, but we do have to figure out how are we going to detach these front arms, or the lower arms I should say. And it appears that we're going to have to remove the skid plate, which is held on by 4 2.5 millimeter screws. So I'll grab my 2.5 mil right here, and I'll go ahead and buzz these off real quick, and then that should reveal at least a screw, or it should reveal the hinge pin, I believe, or the piece that's covering the hinge pins. All right, got that off. I wonder if I have to take this off too. I don't think I shouldn't have to. No, I guess I didn't have to. That's kind of stubborn. It doesn't want to come out from under there. So maybe I should loosen those up, but we got that out right there, guys. And I should be able to access this just with this screw right here is going to be what holds this plastic bit on, that then is what's covering up the hinge pins. So I'm not even going to remove any more of this. Should be flexible enough for me to access it, and that is going to be a 2.5 millimeter, I believe, holding that in place. And we'll get that unscrewed. All right, and now that that's unscrewed, guys, we can go ahead and access the hinge pins. And since we're working on this front, well, we're working on the front left side, so this one over here, we'll go ahead, pull that hinge pin out, and there the arm drops. And let's see, we need the one that is the front left. Okay, so this one right here says left front or rear right, so this is going to be the arm that we're going to put on the left front. And we're just going to go ahead, I probably should have removed this so you guys could see a little bit better, but the hinge pin basically just slides right in here. I'm just doing it the way that probably most of you guys would do it. There's no point in taking more screws out if you don't have to. Go ahead, slide that hinge pin in. Alright, and then just leave that like such. And then I think what we're going to do, we're going to mess with these. We're going to go ahead, we're going to try to get this apart so we can access, we got to get to this U-joint right here and replace this outer shaft with the new ones provided. I'm going to go ahead and get this wheel hex off, and I'm just going to use a flathead screwdriver, pop this off like such. Don't want to lose the pin, pull the pin out like such, just set that and that there, and then the drive shaft will come out like such. And we got a bearing that came out with it, but well, no big deal. But what we need to do is we need to get these tiny little clips off. There's 2 clips, one on either side right here, and that's how we're gonna disconnect this U-joint. So it showed using needle nose pliers, so I should probably grab some needle nose pliers. All right, and don't want to lose these little pieces. It does include some new ones though. So it includes these new little C-clips right here. So I guess if I lose any of the original ones, maybe we're not even supposed to retain using those ones, but I'm gonna try to do this as carefully as possible. Ooh, started to move. There we go, it's starting to move, and rest of the way off, and where did it just fall? Oh, it's on the end of the, there it is right there, guys. Tiny little C-clip. I'll probably try retaining these stock ones so I can save the other ones just in case if I need them later. So then, I think we just go ahead and we push the pin through and grab it with the needle nose, like such. Then that's out, and then we can replace this shaft right here. But this piece right here, guys, is gonna slide out. Really, there's nothing holding it. Of course, I just dropped a piece, because that's what I always do. And we're just gonna reinstall that into the new, longer shaft. It's pushing an inch longer. It's 3/4 of an inch at least longer than the original one. And basically, this piece is just gonna go in. This bigger side with that hole right there is gonna go through like such. So I'm gonna use this to try to get the hole lined up, because there's a hole in that little pin. And then we're gonna go ahead, grab our end piece, and then we're gonna grab that pin that we took out, which is, no, that's not it. It was this one right here. And we're gonna go ahead and we're just gonna push that in. There. And then we have to go ahead and pop the clips back on, which I'm just gonna use the stock ones, or the original ones, because they look like they're still in okay shape. And we're gonna attempt to do this with a needle nose. You guys can see it sitting right there, at least I hope. I'm leaning over the table, almost falling here. All right, and they're much easier to get back on than they are to take off. And now we can go ahead and slide the drive shaft back into the steering carrier. We can go ahead, reinstall this pin right here that goes through the actual drive shaft. And then we pop this piece, this hex piece right here, over the pin. That's not on. There, now that's on. And then we got one done. Now all we have to do, guys, you have to get these front rear shock springs off. Or sorry, this is the rear. We have to get the rear shock springs off and then swap them to the front. So I'm just gonna do that real quick on camera. There is a 2mm holding on the bottom for the rear shock mount, same as the front. We're just gonna go ahead, unscrew that, pull that out. That comes loose, and then there's also a small little 2mm right here that holds the shock perch on, or the bottom shock mount. And we undo that. All right, and then that will come off like such. Then we can pull that spring off. And then we gotta do the exact same thing with the front as for removing that little 2mm. There's a 2mm on the shock perch. I really like it when they do this too with the pin, with these screws on the shock perches, because like on my Traxxas 4x4, I lose them all the time. They're always popping off on a lot of RCs, because if something gets up underneath of this and impacts it, it pushes up, and it's just the weight of the spring in the car that's holding this shock perch down. So this is a really good idea. All right. Then we're gonna go ahead, pop this off, shock perch. Then we're gonna go ahead, set this one aside because we no longer use these front ones. And here's that rear one I took off right here that we moved to the front. And we're gonna go ahead, put that shock spring on, grab, which one was it? It doesn't matter. Grab that shock perch, put the shock perch back on, like such. Then get the little 2mm screw, and then screw that 2mm back in, and it's as simple as that to swap the shock springs out. And then, like I said, the new shock springs that it includes are gonna go on the rear. So these ones right here, I'm assuming they're stiffer Yeah, they're definitely stiffer. This is the stock front ones, and here's these new ones that we're putting on the rear. They're much stiffer, and I'm sure this stiffens up the front by moving the rear ones to the front. I'll probably do this off camera. Well, we can do it right now with one of these. So we got this. Here's that new one comes with. We're gonna go ahead, slide the shock spring on. Then we're gonna go ahead, slide the shock perch on, and then grab that 2mm. And then we're going to thread that 2mm in. It's as simple as that, guys, and now the shocks are swapped. Nice. We're going to go ahead, I'm going to reinstall the front real quick. So all we have to really do is, we need to reconnect this assembly right here, which is basically the steering knuckle / C-hub and that new outer shaft that we put on, the longer one. And it's going to be as simple as the splines. It has splines in it. The splines are going to line up with these ones, as you guys can see. Get your mind out of the gutter. And then, let's see, this part right here needs to point backwards. Is it this one is the bottom one? Yeah. So this one right here is going to screw in through the bottom. So line up that hole there. And then that's a 2.5mm. Grab the 2.5mm and screw that in. Alright, we got that screwed on, and then all we have to do is grab that 2mm right here, 2mm that holds the new steering link on, or it held the old steering link on. So grab our 2mm and go ahead and screw that down. Then all we have to do now is we have to connect the bottom shock mount, which I believe is this one, I believe, right here. And the thing I'm going to do to also give this thing even a wider stance, and well, it won't give it a wider stance, but it'll make it even more planted, is I'm going to lay these shocks down even more. So there's 2 holes right here. I'm going to go ahead and put in the further one, so it actually makes these shocks lay down a little bit more, because otherwise they're more upright like this, and this actually pushes the whole RC up a little bit. So we're going to put it, it'll be a little bit more low slung, and it will take away a little bit of the ground clearance, but we'll gain stability. So in my mind, it's worth it. Go ahead, slide that in. Grab our 2mm and go ahead and tighten that down. And I totally forgot to do the top arm. Alright, but the top arms, let's see, here was the stock one. Here's the new one. Goes in the exact same orientation. And that would be, which pin is it, this one? Yeah, this pin right here. Go ahead, slide that on. Lining up with the hole. Alright, push that through. And then we'll grab our 2.5mm right here and tighten that screw down. Alright, that one's tightened. And then we grab this one right here, which is the one that then holds the end piece onto the C-hub, which goes from the front. And we'll go ahead and line that up. And then that's also 2.5mm. Tighten that down. And guys, once we get that tightened down, this is going to be done with the one side. And I'm not going to show the other sides because it's the exact same process. So it's as simple as that, guys. Just make sure you get this piece right here that holds the hinge pins back in place. Make sure to get the skid plate back in place. I'll do that once I get the other arm done, the other side. But it's basically as simple as that. It's really not that difficult, a little bit time consuming. The most tedious thing is probably removing those little clips so you can install the new outer shafts. But guys, you can see it's significantly wider now, this side to this side. But I'm going to do the other sides off camera, guys. So if you guys did enjoy the video, go ahead, give it a big thumbs up. Alrighty guys, I am finished. I finally got the WIDE-MAXX kit installed on my Traxxas Maxx. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. It's significantly wider. I think on the box, would it say 20 centimeters or 20 millimeters wider on either side, I think. So it definitely has a much wider stance now. I'm really liking the look of it. So the next video you're going to see me testing this thing out, and we're going to see if I like it better than how it was stock. So thank you guys so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you guys in another video. Later.